The Battle of Hansan happened on 14th August 1592, was fought between the Japanese under Wakizaka Yasuharu against the Koreans under Yi Sun-Sin during the Imjin War. Toyotomi Hideyoshi began the construction of a navy on Kyushu Island following his unification of Japan in 1590, intending to occupy Korea and use it as a bridgehead for an invasion of China. Hideyoshi saw war abroad as a way of securing peace at home because his title to power was disputed, and Japan was full of samurai. Without an external enemy, they might direct their aggression at each other or turn on him. On 23rd May 1592, Hideyoshi invaded Korea with an army of 160,000 samurai and Ashigaru foot soldiers, swiftly capturing Busan and massacring its population of 30,000 men and women the following day. Despite success on land, the 700-strong Japanese fleet faced significant opposition at sea, with the Korean Admiral Yi Sun-Sin defeating the Japanese Navy at the battles of Okpo and Seicheon in June and July, respectively. As Korean naval power threatened Japanese supply lines and reinforcements, Hideyoshi called upon Admiral Wakizaka Yasuharu to lead a counteroffensive against Yi Sun-Sin. The Japanese Navy at Hansan numbered 73 warships, 61 atakaboons, and 12 scout ships. Most Japanese naval vessels were pirate or merchant vessels turned to military use. Japanese warships at this time had large complements of fighting men armed with swords, spears, and arquebuses to soften up the enemy before boarding. Meanwhile, the Korean Navy at Hansan numbered 56 warships, 54 panoxians, and 2 turtle ships. The panoxian was a robustly constructed warship that functioned as a stable gun platform with multiple cannons to deliver gunpowder-based incendiary fireballs. In addition, a variant of the panoxian known as the kobuxin, or turtle ship, was employed after 2 centuries of disuse. The turtle ship had a covered upper deck shielded with iron plates and spikes to deter enemy boarders and protect its crew. Despite this, only 3 turtle ships were built during the Imjin War. Using information from local people, Yi Sun-Sin located the Japanese fleet at anchor in Kyonaryang Strait in August. On 14th August, Korean Admiral Yi Sun-Sin sent 6 warships ahead to lure the Japanese fleet into pursuing them out into the open water. Unaware of the size of the Korean Navy, Wakizaka Yasuharu sailed his fleet forward in pursuit of the Korean ships. The Japanese fleet rushed headlong into the main Korean fleet, deployed in a crane's wing formation. In the 2 previous campaigns, the Koreans had either met the Japanese ships in a straight battle line or, if space was limited, with a circular or rolling method of attack, where their ships attacked in relays to sustain a continuous bombardment. Although these tactics were effective, considerable numbers of Japanese had escaped and swam ashore. The crane wing formation, also known as the Hagik-jin, was designed to not just sink ships, but to annihilate the enemy without losing a lot of men. The formation itself resembled a U shape, thus the crane, with the heaviest battleships in the center and lighter ships on the wings. There was a turtle ship at the end of each side. Anchoring the flanks, the Japanese tactic was to put their fastest ships in the vanguard to keep the Korean ships occupied, then move their larger ships rapidly to close in, grapple, and board the Korean ships. However, this tactic played right into Admiral Yi's plan. As the Japanese rode deeper into the trap, Wakizaka Yasuharu was a highly aggressive commander, having gained fame in the battle that solidified Hideyoshi's claim to be Oda Nobunaga's successor. It is clear from his tactics in the Battle of Hansan Island that Wakizaka tried to get as close as possible to the Korean ships so he could have his men grapple and board them, which was a traditional Japanese naval tactic. Wakizaka not only followed the 6 decoy Korean ships through the Kyonaryang Strait with his entire fleet of 73 ships into the ambush, but pressed as quickly as possible into the center of the crane wing formation, oblivious to the fact that he was exposing his ships and his flanks to the Korean fleet's concentrated and longer-range firepower. The Japanese were met by a barrage of cannon and arrow fire, which sunk and set on fire many of their ships and killed their crews. As the Korean Navy encircled the Japanese Navy, many Japanese warships became constricted and found it hard to maneuver. As that happened, Yi Sun-Sin's reserve ships moved up to plug the gaps in the expanding Korean line. Before the Koreans could complete their encirclement, Wakizaka Yasuharu escaped with 14 vessels, leaving 9,000 dead and 59 warships sunk or captured. In contrast, the Koreans lost only 123 men. Admiral Yi's victory at Hansan Island effectively ended Hideyoshi's dreams of conquering Ming China, which was his original goal in invading Korea. It proved decisive because the remainder of the Japanese fleet was confined to port, thus leaving Japanese supply lines open and vulnerable. The supply routes through the Yellow Sea had to be open in order for his troops to have enough supplies and reinforcements to invade China. In February 1593, Toyotomi Hideyoshi declared a truce and withdrew his armies from Korea, although he did not renounce his imperial ambitions. In 1597, Hideyoshi invaded Korea again, with an army of 100,000 troops and 500 warships. Although this time, the Koreans were prepared and had the support of Ming China, who sent 75,000 soldiers. Despite some early victories, the Japanese were eventually defeated at the Battle of Myeongyang on 16th of September 1598, which led Toyotomi Hideyoshi to order a withdrawal before his death 2 days later. In December 1598, the last Japanese soldiers withdrew from Korea, ending the Imjin War.